Imagine waking up in a world with no labels, no warning stickers, no poison control hotline, no Google search for, is this berry safe to eat? Just you, a forest full of plants you've never seen before, and a gnawing hunger that won't wait. Somewhere at some point, one of your ancestors picked up a mushroom, a root, a handful of berries, and had to make a decision that could end their life in the next 20 minutes. And here's the unsettling part. Someone had to go first. Someone had to actually die, or nearly die, so that everyone else could live. This is the story of how ancient humans figured out what would kill them, and the answer is stranger, bloodier, and more clever than you'd expect. Let's start with the obvious question. Why didn't they just avoid anything unfamiliar? Simple. Because starvation doesn't wait for you to feel confident. When food is scarce, maybe poisonous, competes directly with definitely hungry. And hunger tends to win. So instead of avoidance, evolution gave us something sneakier, a built-in detection system, wired directly into your tongue. Bitterness. That's the first line of defense. Humans have roughly 25 different bitter taste receptors, which is a lot, considering we only have a handful for sweet. That's not an accident. In nature, bitterness is often a chemical warning label because a huge number of toxic plant compounds, alkaloids, taste intensely bitter. Your ancestors didn't need a biology degree. Their mouths did the work for them. Something tastes horrific, spit it out. It's the oldest poison detector on Earth, and you're still carrying it around right now. But bitterness alone wasn't enough, because some of the deadliest things in nature taste completely fine. Take castor beans. Mildly sweet, easy to chew, and they contain ricin, one of the most lethal toxins known to science. A handful can kill an adult. So taste was a filter, not a guarantee, which means ancient humans needed a second system, and that system was watching. They watched animals, constantly. If a bird ate a berry and flew away fine, that was data. If a deer avoided a plant entirely, walking a wide circle around it every single time, that was data too. Animals had millions of years of their own evolutionary trial and error baked into their instincts, and early humans essentially outsourced some of their risk assessment to the wildlife around them. Of course, this method wasn't foolproof either. Some animals can safely eat things that would drop a human in minutes. Rabbits can eat deadly nightshade without blinking. A human eating the same handful might not wake up the next morning. So watching the animals got you partway there. It didn't get you all the way. Which brings us to this method nobody likes to talk about. Direct trial and error. Actual human experimentation, generation after generation, with actual human bodies as the test subjects. Someone tried the mushroom, someone tried the root, and sometimes someone died doing it. Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherer societies have found something remarkable. Groups develop incredibly specific, often multi-step preparation processes for foods that would otherwise be lethal. Cassava is the textbook example. It's a starchy root eaten by hundreds of millions of people today. And in its raw form, it contains cyanogenic glycosides, compounds that release cyanide when digested. Left unprocessed, it can kill you. But somewhere in history, someone figured out that if you peel it, soak it in water for days, ferment it, then dry it and cook it, the toxins break down and disappear. That is not an obvious discovery. Nobody stumbles into a 4-step detoxification ritual by accident. That process was almost certainly built through repeated illness, repeated death, and repeated observation of what changed the outcome. Someone got sick after eating it raw. Someone got less sick after soaking it. Someone noticed the pattern. And over dozens, maybe hundreds of generations, the knowledge sharpened into a precise, reliable recipe, passed down long before anyone understood the actual chemistry behind it. This is the part that should genuinely blow your mind. Ancient humans were running controlled experiments on toxicology without knowing what a molecule was. They didn't understand cyanide. They didn't understand ricin or alkaloids or nervous system toxins, but they understood outcomes. This person ate it raw and died. This person ate it prepared this way and lived. Repeat that pattern enough times across enough generations, and you get functional chemistry knowledge encoded not in a textbook, but in a tradition. In a story told around a fire. In a rule handed from a mother to a daughter that simply said, never eat that root unless you've soaked it first, and never ask why, just do it. And that's really the heart of this whole story. Survival knowledge wasn't stored in any one person's memory. It was stored in culture itself. Every group developed its own encyclopedia of the local landscape. Which plants healed you? Which plants fed you? Which ones would put you in the ground by sundown? That encyclopedia had no pages. It lived entirely in oral tradition, in ritual, in the specific and sometimes bizarre-seeming rules elders enforced without explanation. Break one of those rules, even by accident, and the consequences could be fatal within the hour. There's also a darker layer to this. Some communities developed what researchers call bitter avoidance training, deliberately teaching children from a young age which tastes to distrust, reinforcing the instinct their biology already gave them. Early lessons in survival weren't abstract. They were immediate, visceral, sometimes terrifying, because the cost of forgetting them was a corpse. And here's the twist that makes this even wilder. Some early humans didn't just learn to avoid poison. They learned to weaponize it. Once you know precisely how much of a substance kills, and how fast, you've also learned how to hunt with it, how to tip an arrow, how to use it in conflict. The same accumulated knowledge that kept a community alive could also be turned outward. Poison detection and poison application are, chemically speaking, the exact same skill set. Your ancestors weren't just cautious, they were becoming, quietly, some of the first chemists in human history. So the next time you eat cassava fries or drink coffee, which is technically a mild natural pesticide, your body has simply learned to tolerate and even crave. Remember what it took to get here. Thousands of years of people testing the unknown with their own lives, so that the knowledge could survive even when the individual didn't. Every safe meal on your plate right now is standing on top of a very long, very quiet pile of ancient trial and error. Somebody had to find out the hard way. And somewhere around a fire that's long gone cold, somebody else remembered.